Guys, my name is Courtney Budson and this is What's for Din. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a summer berry meringue roulade. Now roulade is just a fancy way of saying that it's something rolled up. And if you haven't had meringue before, I know you will absolutely love this. Even if you're a super picky eater and you're afraid of texture, the way that this meringue is combined with the filling and the berries is just so divine. The texture is really light and fluffy, but it has a decadent flavor that is to die for. So without further ado, let's go over the ingredients. So for the meringue, you're gonna need some granulated sugar, some egg whites, a little tiny bit of white vinegar, and some cornstarch. And then for the filling, we're gonna need some heavy whipping cream, some powdered sugar, some mascarpone. Now, if you cannot find this in your store, look in like the fancy cheese area, like usually around where the feta is, that's usually where it's at. And then a little bit of vanilla extract. And we're also gonna need a little bit more powdered sugar later on. And then I have a bunch of different berries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. You can use whatever one you want. If you want to just choose one and stick with it, that's fine, but I like to use all three because I'm a little bit on the wild side, so. So the first thing we're gonna do is make our filling because we wanna have this ready and sitting in the fridge while we make our meringue, so it'll be done and we don't have to even think about it. So in a standing mixer, I'm going to add in my mascarpone, and this is slightly softened at room temperature. And to that, add your powdered sugar, your vanilla extract, and your heavy cream. And we're gonna beat this until it's nice and fluffy. And before I forget, because it was on the table, but I forgot to mention it, you wanna add just a little bit of lemon zest. And then beat it until it's light and fluffy. All right, that should be about good. You can see that it just tips right off at the end. That's what you're looking for. So I'm just gonna transfer this to a separate bowl, and we're gonna store this in the refrigerator while we go on to the next step. So now we're gonna move on to making the meringue. So the key to making a meringue, because a lot of people have a hard time, is to not get any of the yolk inside the egg whites, because that can prevent them from beating properly and getting nice and fluffy. So now that we've got that handled, we're gonna go ahead and put this into our clean standing mixer. Make sure it is spotless. There's not a stitch of dust in there because that can interfere with how these are gonna beat up. So now we're gonna beat these up until they get nice and frothy. Frothy. Okay, so when it starts to get to this point, we want to start slowly adding a little bit of sugar at a time. You don't want to go too gung-ho with it because then you're going to destroy your egg white. So just a little at a time. This is the last of it. Now I want to beat it for a couple more minutes after I put the last of the sugar in because you want to make sure all the sugar is nice and dissolved in the egg whites. And while you're waiting for this to finish, you can go ahead and preheat your oven to 325 degrees so that it's ready to go when you're ready to go. Yep. I don't know what to say today. Where are you going? No! God, why are you so fat? Hello. Okay, it should be about ready. You can see that it stands up right at the end. Looks like Dairy Queen. So that's what you want it to look like and you'll know it's ready. Okay, so now into this, we're gonna fold in our cornstarch and our vinegar. So you just wanna glide your spatula on the side and kind of cut through and just keep folding it in. You don't wanna go rah and crazy stir it because then you're gonna deflate everything you just did. So before we can bake it, you have to prepare the pan. So I just have a regular cookie sheet, baking sheet, whatever you wanna call it here. And I took a little bit of olive oil, brushed the bottom of the pan, then cut out a piece of parchment paper that fit almost perfect in the bottom. You want it to be nice and snug like that so you can evenly spread the meringue and you don't have any issues with paper flopping everywhere. So I'm just gonna plop that right onto our baking tray. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but just try to make it as even as you can. It's like whiter than my legs in the winter. So that is as smooth as I can possibly get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now we're gonna throw it in a 325-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it slightly gets golden brown. It's not gonna be at all like cookies when they're like golden brown and you know they're done baking. It'll be the slightest little color you'll see on it. It can burn really quickly, so just keep a close eye on it. And in the meantime, we can cut up our berries. So I like to cut my berries nice and small so that there's no huge lumps when I'm trying to roll it up. And then when you bring that baby out of the oven, whew, look at that. It's just got a slight golden brown color on it. You want to let it cool for about 1 minute to 2 minutes on the pan. Pull it off of the pan and let it cool for an additional 3 minutes. Now to prepare to roll these up, you're going to need a kitchen towel that has stains on it. Make sure it's nice and flat, and top that with a large piece of parchment paper. And then on top of that, you're going to sift over some powdered sugar. Make sure that you have almost every inch of it covered evenly. And then you're going to very gently flip that over onto the powdered sugar mat. Press it down lightly, and then let it cool there for another 10 minutes so that it's easier to peel off. As you can see, I was impatient and it didn't peel off that well, but it doesn't matter because it's getting covered up anyway. And then once it's cooled enough, you can go ahead and add your cream filling. Top it with your berries. Make sure they're evenly dispersed. And then this is the technique that's a little bit difficult to explain. You just kind of have to watch how I'm doing it. As you can see, I'm using a pulling and pushing motion, I guess that's what you could call it, and rolling it forward. And then I transfer it to a plate, top it with some more powdered sugar so it looks pretty, and then put some berries strategically on top. As you can see, I can't make my mind up where I want this strawberry to go. And then you want to let it sit in the fridge for at least 3 hours before serving it, and you're ready to enjoy it. I'm going in. It's so good. If cotton candy tasted like angel food cake, this is it, right here. Bam, you're welcome. It's like marshmallow meets cotton candy meets angel food cake. Combine the three together, that's this. It's so amazing. So if you guys want to recreate this recipe, just look below in the description box. I'll have all the measurements as well as the written instructions. And if you did like this video, don't forget to smack that like button. And if you guys haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe because I have many more recipes to come. Also, I have another channel if you didn't know that already, and if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. I'll leave the link in the description box below. So as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time. Peace.